Okay, I'm sharing now about a particular friend that was always one of the best football players, one of the best soccer players when we were young, and now he's still very good and he still plays. So basically, he should have been a professional, could have been a professional, but because he's Jewish, he went into an academic career and he's actually a lawyer as it happens, and I'm sure a very good lawyer, one of the 2%. And so he's one of my best friends from when we were younger. Now we don't get to speak so often anymore, but nevertheless, the point about this now is that he's still a very good football player, although he plays in a private Sunday league. He takes it quite professionally. And so they might normally in the week within their team practice and play five-a-side, but when they play in the league in the Sunday league, then they play 11-a-side, and there's 2 substitutes. So anyway, there's around 13 players, and usually a few players on the roster that don't necessarily play in every particular game. But what we're now looking at is not a normal league whereby there might be, say, 20 to 30 games during the year, one a week during the season. Now we're considering what happens when they actually enter a particular five-a-side type of competition. So the competition they hold is once a year and it lasts for around a week, and it's very, very intense. So how it works is that 20 or 30 or however many teams enter a particular competition, and they all travel to the particular destination where that tournament is being held. And you can imagine this can apply to many sports, whereby they all travel to the destination of that particular tournament, and then they play very intense games in a knockout competition. So it might be in the first place that each team plays another team, and then after they've set the league of the results, and they've clearly got the ones that have won and the ones that have lost, and so they don't all need to play every other team, but it might be that 4 days they each have 2 games, and then so the 10 teams that enter have basically all played say 8 of the other 9 teams, and they can have a hierarchy whereby the best 5 then go into the knockout competition. Does that make sense? It's something like that. I'm sure you understand. So the point is that when they go into these tournaments, then they need to play at their best to get through to the knockout competition, which is very intense and challenging physically. So they'll each have a game in the morning and a game in the afternoon, and the games last about an hour, half an hour going in each direction. So it's very, very physically intense for that hour. Now, normally compared to a normal league, then they would only play, say, once a week. Now they're playing twice a day. So it's much, much harder physically. And one of the competition elements, therefore, is who can actually last the entire week and can still stand at the final. Now, one of the issues with him, for example, is because he's like the best on the team and he's the captain, then he wants to play in every game to help make sure they get through to the next league, to the knockout competition. So what happens is that during the beginning rounds, they put all of their best players on the team because they want to get further through the competition. Now, if somebody's not going to get to the final anyway, they need to put their best foot forward and play with their best team to see how far they can get. And that's their challenge. Maybe they made it to 3rd, 4th, 5th place, and they're happy with that. He's very competitive and very good. He wants to get to the final and he wants to win. So what happens is they put all of their best players in to make sure they get to the final. The problem is, what happens is, because he plays so intensely for so many days, and him particularly, because most of the players will rotate and they'll go easy on them. But with him being the best player, he makes sure he plays every single game to help make sure they win. And so what's happened is, for a number of years, they always have made it to the final, but because he has played so many games in the run-up to the final, he always gets injured before the final. And so they always get to the final because he makes sure he plays and gets them to the final, but by then he's injured, he's not played in the final from an injury, and they've not yet won the competition. So it seems obvious to you and me that if they're playing one game in the morning and one the game in the afternoon, and he doesn't make it to the final because he gets injured, then it would seem obvious that it's worth the risk of him not playing every game until they get to the final, so that he has more chance of being fit and healthy to help them win the final. But of course, with him being the best player, he always thinks he's not going to get injured, and he thinks he's going to get through it until maybe it's like he's a target, so people go for to take out his legs and give him an injury as they get through the competition. I don't know if we can say that. It is quite a physically intense sport, even in the non-professional league. But that's not the point right now. The point we're sharing now is that sometimes, in order to be able to win the competition, we need to stand down from the games along the way, which might not give us the best chance of getting through each particular stage, but it can help to work with part of a team so that we can be strongest when we get to the finish line. And on that basis, I hope there's a message for everybody whereby life is not like a sprint, but rather more like a marathon, where sometimes we need to pass the ball to other people and we need to let them have some share in the responsibility, which can give us a better chance of winning the competition.